everyone, hello my kings, queens and fellow non-binary leaders, and welcome to today's video. Today's video again is a little bit different to what I usually do. It's a reaction video and one I'm actually particularly nervous about. Also, it's the first time that I record a video like this. Like, yes, I had the wig on a couple of times. Yes, I do colorful makeup and contact lenses sometimes, but I never had fangs. So you tell me if that's an improvement. Okay, regardless of that, however, I'm nervous. I mentioned that already. What we're gonna be reacting to today is Consequences, which is a Yahaba, Kiyotani and Yahaba, Yahaba heavy angst video from HAYATO'S SMIRK for the Wednesday series. And why am I nervous? Because first of all, it is quite rare to see heavy angst in one of HAYATO'S SMIRK's titles. Not that she doesn't write those, but if she says it's heavy, I'm nervous. Second of all, I know a little bit about it, not of the contents, but I know that she was fueled by rage while writing it, which, if a writer is fueled by rage while writing something, that should scare you. A little bit like how all my fan fictions are fueled by crippling depression, and the results show. So, we'll see. Yeah, I don't know, I have theories, but I feel like I would rather just go into this blindly and see what happens. Am I stalling? Yes, 100% I am. But I'm also really excited, which is why I'm recording it again during, like, the premiere is running. I'm ignoring the premiere chat so that I don't get myself spoiled, because I cannot wait. And I will not let her make me wait. I'm here now. We're reacting now. I hope my makeup doesn't get ruined, and if it does, because I'm crying, I blame it totally on her. So without further ado, let's get started.
Hello everyone!
Hello.
Welcome to another Womb Wednesday. So, this happens when spite fuels my writing. You want angst? Fine, I'll give you some. Including prompts like forced to kneel, held on gunpoint, and all that nice stuff. I hope you will.
Okay, I was not prepared for this. Okay, we're starting off strong.
Enjoy, because I certainly did.
This does not.
Also, introducing a new warning for future videos, viewer discretion advised. Which means the story is going to contain at least one of the main three AO3 warnings. Graphic violence, non-con, or MCD.
If it's MCD, if it's main character death, we're gonna have a problem. Look, when I scroll through AO3, I can live with all the other two. But my main character death, I avoid that usually, so.
I don't want to spoil the story, therefore I will be using this warning.
Fair point, I still want.
As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons. You are keeping this channel going. Being in a relationship with someone like Yahaba was interesting, to say the least. After all, there was a reason why they hated each other for the most of high school. They were just too different, like two flames clashing with each other over who was going to burn the world. No. At least. I'm just saying you could be doing a bit more around the flat. I don't remember ever seeing you do something on your own without me having to spell it out for you. Yatani growled under his breath, trying very hard not to slam the drawer he was searching through. Yeah? I don't remember you not constantly yapping either. I'm doing my fair share of chores here, you just don't want to see it. He didn't even have to turn around to know Yahaba was clenching his jaw. After spending so much time together, he could vividly imagine the look of annoyance on his boyfriend's face, his narrowed eyes and arms crossed over his chest. It had always been like that when something didn't go how he wanted, which was quite often, especially lately for one reason or another.
I mean, so far it's just a fight, but
Fine, what was the last thing?
I feel like this will end in just crippling guilt for one of the characters if the other gets hurt. Oh, goodness. Setting up the story. Strong start. Okay.
You did on your own account then? Enlighten me. Because as far as I know, I am the one cooking, I am the one cleaning and doing laundry, I am the one... Kyotani gritted his teeth and turned around, and Yahaba flinched when the cupboard door slammed shut. And I am the one doing shopping and actually bringing money into the budget. It was a low blow. He realized it the moment the words left his mouth, and he saw Yahaba's face fall, all anger gone and replaced with hurt. It wasn't like it was Yahaba's fault he got injured and couldn't work for several months. And yet, he just used it against him like the biggest ass.
Kyotani.
They stared at each other for a long, silent while that felt like an entire eternity before Yahaba avoided his eyes, clenching his fist by his side. I see how it is. He didn't look back when he stormed out of the kitchen, and Kyotani sighed deeply when one of the doors in the flat, probably the ones to their bedroom, shut close with a loud bang. Damn it. He glanced towards the bedroom, debating whether he should try making things better before leaving for work, but then decided against that.
No, that's a stupid decision. That's the stupidest decision. I've told this story a couple of times now on my channel, but like, my mother typically when we would argue and one of us had to leave the house, would say that we should never go separate ways when we are mad, because what if something happens? Which, yes, it's a nice sentiment, I think, in one way, but it also left me with anxiety. Still, like, oh, I know why, because now one of the two gets hurt and the other one feel really guilty about it. And
He caught himself wishing he could be the one spiking the balls over the net instead of sitting on the bench with a notebook, making notes. But he had no choice. He had to lay low if he didn't want unpleasant things to happen. He and Yahaba both, even though he never told Yahaba the true reason behind him terminating the contract and settling for a much less visible place on the team. Because as much as he wanted to stay playing professionally, being so much on people's eyes was a bad idea. This way, he was still close to volleyball without the cameras being pointed his way. Volleyball was his life, his calling, but so was Yahaba. And he would be damned if he messed up.
this feels like foreshadowing.
He hummed in surprise when the team manager sat next to him on the bench, nudging his side. Did something happen? Why do you think so? You are never this quiet. You always mumble something under your breath when you write. So something must be heavy on your mind. Kyotani sighed, pretty impressed others could read in him this easily. Or perhaps it was because he was really out of it that day. It's personal. I argued with someone and I think I hurt them. Something big? Not really. That's what's worst about it. It was stupid. The woman pursed her lips a bit. Then, wouldn't the best action be to apologize? I'm planning on it, but I'm not sure what to say. We've been arguing much more recently and I don't know why. It's frustrating. Well, if that's the case, then I'll just pour my heart out. That usually works, right? I mean, I don't know that person, but as long as the apology is genuine, it should be okay. I guess. He clenched the notebook in his hands, crinkling the paper a bit. Of course he knew she was right. There was no need to think too much about what he was going to say as long as he meant it. That was important. And to try avoiding situations leading to arguments too. He nodded at her in thanks and returned to watching the players do drills with newly found focus. It was going to be fine. It wasn't the first time they argued. That's just how they were. At the end of the day, they still loved each other. They just had to talk everything out properly. It was going to be fine.
Oh man, it's just, when you know it's not going to be fine, you're just sitting here and being like, I'm so tense waiting for the end. Like, the suspense is real. But we got this. It's not gonna be that bad, right? It can't be major character death. If it's major character death, I swear to God, I will kill off Sammy in the Slippery Slope series. HAYATO'S SMIRK, I swear.
The street was nowhere as busy as usual when he walked home later that evening. It was always pretty dark whenever he left the gymnasium after afternoon practice, with only the street lamps and shop windows illuminating the pavement. But there was still a certain hustle to the street he walked down through. But not today. Not that Kiyotani complained. He definitely didn't mind he didn't have to push around a crowd to get home. And he even managed to buy Yahaba's favorite chocolate, among other things, along the way without having to stand in the line for ages. The bag with sweets was now dangling by his side, and Kiyotani hoped at least some of the things he bought were going to help him win his boyfriend's goodwill back. It will be fine. We've been through wars. Right. They made it through a lot of obstacles already, including breakup. They were going to be fine.
What?
He sped up, a sudden need to make it
I must have missed that chapter, and I hope I never read it. Can we just all stay happy and together, please?
home as fast as possible, taking over his mind. It was strange given he had no idea if he wasn't going to encounter a silent household, but something just urged him to rush as fast as he could. And so he did, listening to his instincts for once.
This is not
By
good.
the end, he was almost running, only taking care of not slamming the boxes with sweets against his thigh too much to not destroy them. The last thing he wanted was to bring Yahaba broken means of apology. He only slowed down when he spotted the silhouette of their apartment complex against the night sky. He let out a deep sigh, catching his breath for the last run to the front door. I hope he's not as mad anymore. Or hurt. That wouldn't be good. With his heart beating fast, both from running and nerves, he took one last deep breath to fill his lungs with oxygen before he sped up again. Almost there. Found you. Kiyotani froze mid-step, chills running down his spine. But before he even managed to turn around, sharp pain exploded in the back of his head, and the world went black. When he came about again, he found himself in an empty space, cold and so dark he couldn't see the walls. Though
Okay, really quickly, I need to bring the tension. I'm super intrigued. Uh-oh. Alright, sorry for that short pause there. I had a minor heart attack right now thinking that all the reaction I've done so far was not recorded, but that was not the case. We're proceeding. But what I wanted to say, I'm curious because often HAYATO'S SMIRK seems to tend to torture Yahaba and not Kiyotani, which from a writer's point, sadly, very understandable. So this is quite a change of pace that I did not expect. I'm thinking though that there is a good chance that Yahaba is also like somehow involved, which does not make this better. We'll see. Also, I'm loving the music, by the way. Good choices all around.
judging by the concrete floor, there wouldn't be anything interesting on them anyway. He tried to move and hissed, only now noticing his wrists and ankles were bound to the chair he was sitting on. Unsurprising. Truly, the only surprising thing was that he was alone.
Really? That's the only surprising thing. You've been knocked out and tied up on a chair in a location you don't know, and the only surprising thing is that you are alone. Damn. Like, I would be surprised by the whole situation. Oh my god.
Or at least it seemed like it for now. He flexed his muscles a bit, hoping to loosen the rope enough to slide his hands from under it. It was an old trick he learned when he was a teen, and it came in handy on numerous occasions. Of course, he was sure he could just break.
I know that trick too, but why did he learn it when he was a teen? I'm so concerned about his potential past here right now.
Break the chair if he put in enough strength, but a silent solution was always better than a loud one, even if it was less efficient. No need to strain yourself, it's firm. Kiyotani clenched his jaw and fists, but he would lie if he said the voice didn't set off all kinds of alarm bells in his mind. I had to try. You were always so inefficient.
Wait. I think, oh my god, I've puzzled something together. I'm probably stupid for only noticing this now. But I assumed at first that he didn't want as many cameras on him because, I don't know, the general risk of being in public, and it already, like, rubbed me the wrong way because, like, you know, like, that's a pretty... how to say that? It's certainly a concern to be kept in mind if you're a public figure, but especially in pro volleyball, I don't think it's the first concern you think about. So now I'm assuming that's someone from his past, and I should be severely, like, very worried for him. And, like, was he in some kind of witness protection program? That might be a little bit far-fetched, but, like, definitely trying to avoid someone and not draw any public attention. Okay, this is making me nervous.
A low growl reached his ears, allowing him to finally locate the place where the man stood. It probably wasn't the best idea to provoke in a situation like this, but he knew his ropes. Showing even a tiny smidge of fear would be even worse. You sure have guts to talk back to me. Kyotani shrugged, his eyes, finally getting used to the dark, settled in the corners enough to see the entourage of men wearing the familiar scarves around their faces, hiding in the shadows. It was a whole deal then. You know me, I can't resist. He tried the ropes again, feeling them loosening a tiny bit. It wasn't much, but as long as he kept going like that. He stopped in his movement when footsteps echoed through the space, and then the face of a man he hoped he never had to see again appeared in the little light coming from some hidden light bulb in the ceiling. He gritted his teeth, a sudden urge to get up and take him over the head with the chair arising in his muscles. Maybe you should remember who you are speaking to.
The character is literally called Kyotani's past. Okay, well, I guess it was just tense.
Then he was moving even before the man raised his hand. He swung back with the chair, using his full strength to either tear the ropes around his ankles or break the chair. The cracking of wood told him the chair legs gave up first. He swung the whole chair behind his back where he felt one of the men approaching, before he grabbed the handles and took a better aim swing at his past. The man avoided him and yelled orders at the others, turning Kyotani's attention to the slowly surrounding him danger. However, he was aware the chair wasn't the best or strongest weapon. And indeed, after just a few hits, the wood shattered in his hands into splinters. But at least his arms were now free. He didn't get to enjoy freedom for long, however, since the number of opponents wasn't something to underestimate. He knew them. He knew the way they worked. He used to wear that scarf too before he dedicated his life to the one he loved, leaving his old life behind. But when facing imbalance in numbers, all his inside knowledge was mostly useless. He groaned through his gritted teeth when hands gripped his shoulders and squeezed, the pain shooting through his whole arms and back. Still, he refused to give up even when his arms got twisted behind his back, a satisfied grin making its way to his face when he heard the huffs of struggle from the men around him. That's all? You sent a bunch of gorillas on me, I call it a day? That's pathetic, even for you. The man leaned closer to his face, but still far enough not to get headbutted, Kyotani noticed, his teeth bared. I told you before, you don't get to leave the organization just like that. Now kneel and beg for forgiveness, and I might let you off lightly. Kyotani barked a short laugh. Yeah, right. Definitely. The pressure on his shoulders grew on strength. He braced himself with his legs and pushed back, swinging at the closest man to his side. A kick into the back of his knee made him waver, but not enough to send him to the ground. Come on, we had this discussion before. Isn't it a definition of insanity? How's your ear healing, by the way? To his surprise, the man smiled at him, almost proudly showing him the side of his head that lacked ear, a favor from Kyotani from their last meeting 3 years ago. Kyotani paused, the sight of the man's smile scaring him more than anything around him. I see you haven't changed a bit. Well then, Maybe it's time to remind you that crossing me is not a good idea.
Don't let it be Yahaba, you don't
He motioned to the side, still watching Kyotane with a wolfish grin on his face. Bring him in.
Shit.
A door opened somewhere by Kyotane's side with sharp screeching.
You know, for a second, I had the audacity to hope that I was wrong and that Yahaba was actually not involved, and that Kyotane's weird feeling was just him getting stalked and captured, but I know it. I knew it. Oh, this is gonna be painful.
Followed by direct footsteps and rapid breathing. With a strained yelp, a man with his hands bound behind his back was thrown forward on the floor in front of him. Kyotane's blood ran cold. Yahaba looked up at him, his eyes widening when their gazes met. Horror washed over Kyotane when Yahaba opened his mouth to speak, but fortunately, being the quick thinker he had always been, he stayed silent in the end. He quickly checked for any major injuries Yahaba might have sustained, the dark and their positions making it very difficult. There was a small cut on Yahaba's lip, but otherwise he looked unharmed. Though considering the situation, it served only a little to comfort Kyotane. Just heaving as his eyes darted frantically around, apparently not yet used to the dark, Yahaba's face scrunched with pain occasionally when he moved his arms and the bones dug into his skin. A soft whimper fell from his lips when the other pulled his head back by his hair. Must say you have a pretty good taste. He's a pretty piece.
Oh, this is bad.
Kyotane startled, already opening his mouth to disavow any connection between him and Yahaba, but the sneer the other gave him silenced him. You don't have to pretend. I know who he is too. You would just waste my time with your lies. Ken? Kyotane's heart broke hearing the weak tremble in Yahaba's voice. He didn't have time to think about where he made a mistake and led his past to Yahaba. He just had to figure out how to get him away. To safety. He had to admit that Yahaba held himself together surprisingly well, despite his eyes being filled with panic and fear. Or perhaps it was the confusion clearly visible on his face that kept him from breaking down just yet. It's fine, don't be scared. What's going on? His words turned into a choked cough when he got hit harshly in the face, and Kyotane saw red. Leave him alone! Well then, now that we both know what's in the game, how about you show some cooperation? He pulled Yahaba's head back up by his hair, tearing another strangled cry from his throat, though his eyes didn't leave Kyotane. Kneel. Kyotane's mind raced. The thing he was scared of the most was happening right in front of his face, and he had no way of stopping it. Even if he did what he was told and submitted, they weren't going to get out of there unhurt, if at all. He knew that all too well.
I'm sorry for being silent so much. I'm just, oh my god, the tension. Oh. Okay. The thing is, I don't think what happened at the beginning counted as graphic violence. Therefore, all of the three warnings are still on the table, and that is the truly terrifying part, if you ask me. Whew, I have goosebumps. I don't even know what to say about this, except it's very well made, and I feel the tension. I do. Goodness.
He couldn't go down on his knees if he wanted to save them. The only chance they had was if he stayed standing and ready to fight. All that ran through his mind in a split second, yet the hesitation had to be apparent. His line of thoughts got snapped by a light metallic click, the sound turning his blood into ice even before he saw what made it. He didn't have to anyway. Seems like he doesn't like you as much as I thought. A strangled whimper fell from Yahaba's lips when the muzzle of the gun touched his temple, his breathing becoming shallow and rapid. What a shame. No, stop! His eyes straight to Yahaba, meeting his, now full of tears, and looking at him with fear and a silent plea. There was no other choice, not anymore. He let himself fall on the concrete floor and lowered his head when he spoke, his own voice sounding alien to him. Let him go, please. He has nothing to do with this. It's just between the two of us. I'll do anything, just let him go. I'm begging you, don't hurt him. Then he looked up, giving Yahaba what he hoped was a reassuring smile. It's okay, don't worry. Everything will be fine. The man's sneer widened. See, wasn't that difficult, was it now? He lowered the gun to his side, letting Yahaba take a shattered breath, and crossed the distance to Kyotani, leaning down to his eye level. There's just one little problem with that. It's all too late. Before Kyotani realized what that meant, he walked back to Yahaba, stopping right behind him. You have to learn that messing with me has consequences. No! The gunshot shattered the air as if it was glass. Hot blood splattered his face. His throat closed, choking back the horrified cry trying to get out. The soft thud of a body falling on the concrete floor, draining all warmth from his skin. The world, already dark, turned grey in that moment, the only colors remaining being the dark red mixed with silver. He was then thrown forward towards the quickly growing puddle of blood before a grave silence, interrupted only by his hitched breaths, settled around him.
It wasn't fatal.
As if in trance, he reached forward, his hand trembling. The pale skin under his fingers was the same as he remembered from the morning, soft and warm, and yet so cold, without any life left. His vision blurred. He didn't even get to apologize. He didn't even get to give him the chocolate. He didn't even get to say goodbye. A long, tormented cry rattled with the building, carrying agony and tears into the night. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed.
No! This did not just happen. No. This did not just what? I'm not okay. This did not just happen. How dare you? You love Yahaba. How could you do that? Everyone out there who made HAYATO'S SMIRK mad, how dare you? Okay. Final thoughts. Don't make fanfiction writers mad and don't dare them with heavy angst. I have to kill off Semi now, don't I?